Hello and welcome to this review of...
We haven't got the background.
Babe, we put it on afterwards.
But we didn't when
So
we were
we're
doing
pre-recording, we were live.
Is there supposed to be that edge there?
Babe,
It's white.
babe, when I put this into my edit system, the green will be gone.
Okay.
If the green hasn't gone, we're fucked.
Because we're going to look fucking stupid in front of this green sheet.
Yeah.
Right, okay, let's start. Hello and welcome to our review of the damn fine, utterly brilliant Rivals.
Well, that's it.
Which I did nag Mark, didn't I? I said for weeks before I was going, we've got to watch that Rivals. We've got to watch that Rivals.
I nagged you first, saying Rivals is going to be big.
No. How
very dare.
Mark, don't. If you do this, we're going to really fall out. You keep
Jump
going,
back
Rivals. What's it? You keep going on about Rivals. You never said it once. You started to say it after I've been saying it for a long time.
You are literally a liar, pants on fire.
Listen, Jean-Paul Gaultier, I don't think you're in a position to tell me about British TV.
If you're not careful,
you little Frenchman, you.
If you're not careful, I will add into this review a clip of you mounting.
Well, it'd be very, very apt.
It would, wouldn't it, actually? Yes. I want a Riders crop. Anyway, yeah, Rivals. Jilly Cooper's Rivals. I didn't realise I think this is a sequel to Riders. I think Riders comes before Rivals.
But Riders hasn't been made.
Riders hasn't been made, no. Anyway, so Rivals, what is it? It's a new series of Jilly Cooper's 80s bonkbuster classic, set in the 80s, and it's on Disney+. This is the kind of show the BBC will be literally in a cupboard, a broom cupboard, punching itself repeatedly in the face, thinking, why didn't we do this? Because this is sensational.
It's the sort of thing that you would hope that the BBC made. It's classic. It's so extraordinarily British, isn't it? And it's a weird one because it's set in the 80s, the story, because many won't know the story. And it doesn't really shy away from any of the dark side of the 80s, actually.
No.
But it's the most bizarre thing that you sit there and you're nostalgic for it. You're nostalgic for that time.
Yeah,
we got incredibly nostalgic watching it.
Which is quite an achievement because I hate the 80s, and whenever I see the 80s sort of revisited, I always think, oh, it was shit then, it's shit now, it looks shit, it was shit, big hair, shit hair, big collars, and yet you're right, this recreates the 80s and vaguely makes it cool.
But I was in the 80s, I quite like the 80s,
Yeah,
but you know, I think because I was thinking about this last night, I was thinking, it covers rape, it covers the most appalling sexism, homophobia, snobbery, all the most terrible traits really of the time, and they go for it. But I think what it is a sense of freedom within it when you're watching it, aren't you? Like people are, appear to be having sex, unbothered, unfettered, consenting, joyful. Nobody is getting up early in the morning to make a green juice. Nobody is worrying about how much they drink or whether they smoke or whether they...
It's unrehabilitated, isn't it?
Yeah, and you look at it and you think,
God, we were having fun in the 80s.
It made me realise how fucked up we all are now.
Yeah.
Everything's got a timer and a watch and we're recording everything, every vital sign that we've got. I'll have 2 vodka tonics now and I'm like, I start to feel my pulse.
Yeah, I mean,
now in the 80s, I was having 2 bottles of vodka and never thinking about my pulse.
Yeah, exactly. This is unabashedly and unashamedly kind of over the top. I mean, they talk about the 90s being the crazy 90s, don't they? The Sarah Cox, the Geezer Birds and all that kind of stuff. But the 80s, what I loved about this was it's not exactly innocent indulgence, but it's indulgence without any real awareness as to the full consequences of it all. Right down to, I think, we're not going to go episode to episode, but it starts. Episode 1 is an interesting episode because I think for some people, episode 1 might put you off if you aren't sort of signed up to the kind of neither was your mum.
I loved it when Emily Atack came in.
Yes. Because
I adore Emily Atack.
And it starts with buttocks pumping.
Yes. And Alex Hassell, who plays Rupert, I just didn't take to him. His face was too angular.
Classic RSC actor. I've seen him in a few things at the RSC. He's a brilliant actor.
My God, that changed for me through the series, though. But just
did he become more attractive? He became more charming, didn't he?
Because he became so much nicer. Beauty is from within.
Yeah.
A lot of people find him devastatingly good looking, but but he's not my cup of char.
No, he's quite sort of. I don't know. You know who he reminds me of a bit? He reminds me of not Hugh Grant. Who was the guy who used to play opposite Stephen Fry? He used to play the King.
Oh,
Hugh.
Yes.
Whatever.
Hugh
Yeah.
Marley.
You know the Hugh.
No, we know.
Yeah, you know the Hugh. I mean,
But-
you know who I mean.
No, but the thing is, I think why I didn't like him in the first episode, I thought, am I going to be able to watch this series? Because he's such a good actor.
Yes.
And he was playing that side of the character.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody is just one thing. And then as we go through the series, he shows us lots of other sides to this character, and we start to fall a bit for him.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, every single performance was perfection for me.
Absolutely
Perfection.
sensational. And what I loved about this show was a number of performers who, perhaps in a snobby fashion, I would never have stepped towards them. You know, for example, Danny Dyer. Let's just take Danny Dyer as an example. Nothing I've known him be in other than that series he did years ago where he was doing Men, sort of like the psychology of
But
men.
you see, you thought you didn't like Danny Dyer.
No, I
You
liked
always
him
went,
then.
No, before that you didn't like him.
No, I didn't. And then I saw
Yeah.
that series. I loved him as he went
then
in
you
to do
fell in love with
masculinity.
him.
Yeah. Then I never thought I'd be drawn to him as an actor. And I have to say, this has made me think that Danny Dyer is one of our greatest
He's fantastic.
actors.
I want to see him at the RSC. I want to see him on stage. I mean, I
You know,
went
he's
off.
a massive Pinter fan. I mean, when they do the Harold Pinter season, he's one of the main actors that does Harold Pinter.
Such a good actor.
he's
Because I
great.
hadn't really seen him before EastEnders. I didn't really know him. But now we are all obsessed.
David Tennant, absolutely. I mean, we've always liked David Tennant. But he's great, actually, because his narrative arc or his character arc is in reverse to Alex Hassell's. Whereas Alex Hassell becomes
repulsive.
warmer, Tennant starts nicer and becomes just absolutely
He's darker
disgusting.
and darker and darker. And Mark, I'm always jealous because Mark saw him on stage in Richard II.
so good.
And by the end of the series, you were saying only David Tennant could bring in some of that.
No,
into
I know.
a Disney
Absolutely. Let me give.
blockbuster.
This series manages to fuse Jilly Cooper bonkbuster, bonktastic bonkiness with Shakespeare. I mean, the themes that are at work by the end of this series, and it ends on a fantastic sort of cliffhanger moment. The threads of control, rivalry, as you kept like looking at moments.
Rivals.
Yep,
They're rivals.
They're rivals now. They're rivals now.
Because
Rivalry all the way
you
through.
know why? Because as I grew to love it more and more, I started to get panic-stricken that there wouldn't be another series because there
Yes.
wasn't another book. And I'm thinking, right, we've got this one over here. We can build it. We can carry on with their story.
Oh my God.
A lot of characters. In fact, my mum, who's 87. She watched the first episode and she said, there was just so many people. And we were like, and she's right, actually.
Yeah.
So stick with it. It was
Yeah.
a bit like that in the first episode, but every person has a great story.
Absolutely. And I think what's so clever about it, before we get on even into some of the other individual performances, it stays. Jilly Cooper wrote the book at a time and about a time when men were on top, literally, physically, but socially, before #MeToo and all that. And what this series does, which I think is really clever and really difficult to do for the modern age, it doesn't shift away from that. It doesn't. That's the truth of the story. But within the story, the strength of all the female characters is without doubt. You have incredibly powerful women.
All the women are powerful.
All the women are powerful, and what they manage to sort of do is tip the tables on the men in a weird way. So so you don't feel
actually,
that
this
it's.
is a very female, a real celebration actually.
Yes.
Because all kinds of female, the quieter one, the more bullish one, the ambitious one, the not so ambitious, the stay-at-home one. You've got every kind of woman, but every woman has a strength.
Yeah, and in the process of adjusting it, but staying true to the kind of, because they're all archetypes. You know, you've got David Tennant with his wife, brilliantly played by Claire Rushbrook. Astonishingly powerful performance by his wife, and she's a wife.
It was just, for me, that every one of them needed an award.
Emily-
Aidan Turner, who Mark had taken against because of Poldark.
No,
yes, you had, Mark. After Poldark, you took against
I
him.
didn't take against him. I was in envy of his abs.
Well, I was being kind when I said you took against him, but I knew it's because you had Jason get you over about his abs.
I know, they're beautiful
How many times do I have
abs.
to tell you, those abs would turn me off?
Oh, I just got an erection.
Mark! We're not in the 80s now, love.
Oh, okay.
So
Hang on, just on Aidan Turner.
Who plays Declan, who plays the sort of the bullish TV presenter stroke journalist. He is sensational. And his wife, played by Victoria Smurfit, who's Maud. Oh my God, it's the most brilliant portrayal of a narcissistic mother.
But she was also a brilliant portrayal of faded glory. She's an actress who was past her prime.
The horrors of being beautiful, because for, you know, you see this all the time. I mean, she's still very, very beautiful in it, but somebody who has had that kind of beauty and it fades a bit.
But
life becomes very difficult, but she played it.
She played the tragedy as well, though, because although she's narcissistic and quite unlikable all the way through it, I really felt for her. I mean, I
wanted her on I wanted to see her, I wanted to watch her, I wanted to see her narrative arc.
Absolutely. Katherine Parkinson plays Katherine Parkinson, is she, I couldn't work out, who was she? She was wife to the daytime TV presenter who felt very much it was based almost on Richard Madeley. I couldn't help but
Richard
feel.
Madeley and what's the other one? The Alan Partridge. He was more of an Alan Partridge.
Yeah. Katherine Parkinson, she was
astonishing performance, and one of the greatest love stories. The way this love story was played out. I'm not going to say who the love story is with, because in case somebody hasn't watched it.
Oh, we can, can't we? No.
Go on then.
A little bit of a spoiler. Well, it's her and Danny Dyer. It's the most beautiful romance to watch across the
aisle. And it's a will they, won't they.
Yeah.
But this woman can sparkle, and she can sparkle and lift your heart, and then the next second make you cry your eyes out. And her and Danny Dyer together, what chemistry!
Yeah.
He was, because he's plump in it, isn't he? He's a bit sort of, I don't know. He's a bit naff.
He's awkward, but he's the one who's come from working class origins. Doesn't fit in.
He becomes a romantic lead within
really
it
does.
because he's so fantastic, and his character as well. I love the surprises of his character because he turns out to be the guy that can do everything.
You know what's really interesting about this is that as I'm looking at the cast here, Alex Hassell, David Tennant, Rufus Jones, they've all performed as part of the RSC. And it sounds really odd, but something that really elevates this whole series of way, way, way above any other standard series is the real depth, truth and authenticity. They've all given this everything. It feels like it's been performed quite literally by a company, you know, that thing that you get with a theatrical company. And you feel that going into this, and you feel that from all of the actors, even when they're not in each other's scenes. I mean, right down to people like Gary Lamont, who plays the gay assistant. Heartbreaking narrative for him, where he has this sort of love affair with an assistant,
and shows the dark side of politics. Of course, the homophobia is still there in politics, but it was so blatant, and you couldn't possibly be gay and have any kind of success within.
Let's talk about Nafessa Williams, who plays Cameron Cook, because this show also deals with black race, politics and issues without, again, slapping you in the face with them.
It's just this is the way that it was.
Yeah. Not only this is the way that it was, and I'm intrigued to know whether any of the characters in the initial book were black. But this series does a really good job, I think, of threading current day representation, themes, difficult topics, not becoming worthy, but still staying true to the 80s. So you have like a scene where Alex Hassell gropes one of the characters, Bella McLean's character at one point, and you don't just dismiss him as, oh, he's groped her, therefore he's cancelled. It's a different kind of era. And I'm pleased that it's a show that's not afraid to kind of step towards all of that stuff.
Bella McLean, I have to say, is so exquisitely beautiful.
Sex Education.
I just wanted to look at her all the time.
Yeah.
I desperately want another series because I want those smaller characters, the people with the smaller parts. All characters were very strong, but I want to see more of everyone.
I agree, and I'll tell you something that I wasn't expecting this series to give, which it did. We liked very much the first series of the morning show, you know, the Apple TV show about daytime telly and all that. This is a really good show about the entertainment industry, about the business of television, because it's set within the commercial world of ITV. There's constant references to the BBC. It's parked within a real world as well. So you've got real references to Princess Diana, Margaret Thatcher, sort of, what's his name? Aidan Turner is the host, really, of a kind of almost Michael Parkinson show. The
tone was so perfect.
It's beautifully shot. It's crisply edited. You don't feel there's a spare part in any of it, really. I mean, you really don't. And it moves at a fair old lick. It's
Emily Atack as well. You know, her part, she didn't have tons of lines, but she told us so much about her character, didn't she? It was such a thoughtful and layered performance. And as Laurence Olivier said, I am not a good enough actor to play a small part. And I think if there's another series, I think she will.
Well, the wonderful thing is that, like a train set, they've created such a wonderfully complex, rich, real tapestry of characters, interrelationships, rivalries, betrayals, loyalties. You've now got two different teams. They're vying. It's very Dynasty in Dallas. The other wonderful thing, not to forget, it's very sexy too. I found it very really sexy. Raunchy, but not raunchy, but not sort of gratuitously.
Just yee-haw, good bit of slap and tickle.
Yeah, absolutely. It made me want to have sex every time I watched it. So
actually, it's funny, you know, just thinking again, even with the Nafessa Williams, the American beautiful actress, her character, though she was ambitious, She never came in drinking a green juice
No.
or a Starbucks coffee
No,
or
not
one
at
of
all.
those stupid cups.
No.
It's made me see our lives and all the nonsense that we've added to it in sharp
But
focus.
were we better for it back then, or are we right to be what we are
Oh,
now?
I don't know. Are we happier now?
No, I don't know.
Do
Oh.
I need to take my pulse after I've had 2 large vodka and tonics?
I know. Why don't you just jump on my lap right now? Anyway, no, final thought. I just want to say this. This is weird technical detail. The music in this, it does that thing that mum and dad, what was it? My Mum, Your Dad did, which is it's a brilliant soundtrack that really kind of resurrects all those tunes of the 80s. But the compositional music, the soundtrack, this manages at times to be very emotional and very deep. It does manage to do that thing of going, it's not just surface level farce and surface level slap and tickle. It really is. I mean, like, there are moments in nearly all of the loving relationships, there are moments and reservoirs of real deep depression, sadness, resentment, connection,
Suffering,
disconnection.
terrible suffering, infidelity,
Yeah.
and the pain of that.
Yeah.
It's
an astonishing
Shakespearean.
series. It really is. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying Jilly Cooper's Rivals. It's Shakespearean.
Please, God, let them make another series.
Oh, sensational. Please watch it now whilst we're at it. Jump on.
Mark.
Jump on.
Mark!
What?
We are not in the 80s now.